the most common things I see overlooked, as well as some simple touch points to talk about to help improve your golf. So how can we have 2 simple points that are going to really help us make a solid backswing? For me, there are 2 things that I see commonly go wrong in the backswing, and that's not enough body turn and the arms being a pretty much independent driver. I also see, as a result of this club get very much flattened during this backswing, and as a result of that, we very often see that it steepen, the common over the top move. So the 2 faults that I mainly see is 1, not enough body turn and hip turn, but then 2, seeing this club work too flat during this backswing as a result of these arms being the main driver. So how can we have a simple drill that's really going to help us create better hip turn, better body turn, but actually get control of this club face as well? Because all we're trying to achieve in the golf swing, and predominantly the backswing, is control the club face and control the golf club with good body turn and the arms and body synced up. Does that sound quite complicated? It didn't mean to sound that way. So in the first 3 parts of this series, we've covered grip, we've covered stance, and we've covered takeaway. So if you want to watch that takeaway video as well, that's really going to kind of link into what we've already spoke about. But also those other first 2 videos are some really good touch points to get into consistent posture and consistent grip routines. So what can we do to create a better body turn? So if we've got a swing that's very much driven by these arms and very little hip turn, we're not creating, 1, as much power, but also we're creating a bit of independence. So what I want you to feel now is, I want you to feel that we've got a wall behind us here. So we're going to imagine an imaginary wall that's just out of touch of our back right pocket. I want you to place the golf club across your chest and more pointing out the left hand side for a right-handed player. And what I want you to get a feeling for now, we're going to press that right bum into the wall. Because as you can see as I do this, it actually creates a freer body turn from the upper half. If I kept those hips pointing towards the wall on my right-hand side, look how much my upper body is really limited in its ability to create a turn. Okay, now add in this hip turn, feel like my back right pocket for a right-handed player is touching the wall. Look what I can create now. So as you notice here, my back leg, my trail leg is slightly straightened, lost its flex. My front leg, my left leg, has slightly gained a little bit of flex. So I've got a motion now which creates a freer body and hip turn. Freer body and hip turn, wider turn, more power? Potentially yes. Okay, so what can be a really nice simple routine we can add as a layer into that first half? Well, before we do that, I want you to make a few practice swings, really trying to feel now, instead of the golf club across your chest, feel as though we've got the bum touching the wall. It'll feel quite over-exaggerated, but I want you to feel it as an idea, not necessarily as gospel to go and do and actually complete and do on the golf course, but as an idea to stick to. I want you to think about this. So a few reps, just trying to feel as though our bum is touching the wall. Very often I see the opposite, like I said, not enough turn with the lower body, not enough turn and arms and body matched, and too much lateral movement left to right. So the idea being, we're going to get that bum touching the wall. So just before we get on to the next point about how we can control the club head and the club in general, what would it look like from face on? So again, that imaginary wall now is behind me. This is something I could do with driver as well, by the way, if you're watching this. Really trying to feel as though that bum is touching that wall. As you can see as I'm doing this, I'm creating much more of a coiled move. I've got a separation between my shoulders and my hips. So again, these are all factors which create power, but also create consistency. Okay, now on to the final point. Controlling this and the club, adding a layer to what we've already spoken about. The second thing I mentioned right at the start of the video, if you remember, is that most commonly I see this club work very flat during this backswing. So very much in this motion. This would be flat because the butt of the club is pointing over this alignment stick on the floor, but ultimately on a very flat angle. And if I tend to see the club work this way, I then tend to start to see the club work this way in the downswing. So what's a simple concept we can add into the feeling of a better hip turn and body turn to get this club working relatively a little bit steeper? So hopefully we can start to feel the opposite move. Now, doing this, I want you to imagine we've got a laser on the end of our golf club. I want you to feel as though the laser now doesn't point ever over the alignment stick. I want you to feel adding in the hip turn, adding in the shoulder turn, trying to press onto that wall. Can we feel we get the laser never pointing over the alignment stick? So we can do this, quite a few reps, cue feelings, take a few videos of yourself, seeing, okay, imagine I had a laser out this butt of this club, where's it pointing? And another simple way I could do this is, and this is something that I really like to do just myself, because I feel that if you're someone who takes it too steep or too flat, it gets you into a good point. Because if I took the club 2 out this way, the club would feel very heavy. If I took the club this way, the club feels very heavy as well. So if I get those points of getting a better hip turn and shoulder turn, but created a backswing move halfway now, predominantly led by my left hand, look how I have to set that club a lot steeper. This now makes the club feel lighter, so the butt of the club's in between my feet line, never over the alignment stick. It's in between my feet line and the alignment stick. It really gives me a good feeling of better body turn, better hip turn, but also that feeling of this club setting a little bit more neutral or a little bit steeper relative to where you've been. So the 2 points we were talking about today, and 2 simple things: better body turn, so we're going to get the hips and body moving a little bit more of a rotation like a coil, and then we're going to try and get the feeling of the club not working to around the body and get a feeling of the club working more up on its end, and never have the butt of the club or the laser coming out of here pointing over in this direction. So what would be a really practical way of learning this at the driving range? So stage 1, I would do this off the golf ball to begin with. I would have a few reps trying to feel I get a good body turn, good hip turn, and really trying to feel this butt of the club points down towards the ground, just with one hand on the club. Getting that feeling of it working a little bit steeper. Simple expression, make the club feel light. I would then add in the feeling of doing that with 2 hands. Hip turn, body turn, just a few reps, keeping it fluid, gaining that feeling, and then adding a little bit of a follow through in. So again, at the minute, everything's quite fluid. I would then go onto the golf ball and start to check a few points. So this is what I mean by check a few points. Address the golf ball, feeling as though in an athletic position. I would then swing it back to that halfway point. I would then check it. Okay, that feels a little bit steeper, it's not flat. Check it, hit the ball away. I will then do 2 reps of them, just really feel like a check it, hit the ball away. I would then do that same thing, but I would make it a fluid motion to hit the ball away. So I would build it up from a concept off the golf ball to a part concept on the golf ball to then a full half shot on the golf ball. That makes sense. So not stopping halfway back. And that would be the exact way we can start to blend this better body turn, better hip turn, more control of the club face throughout the whole swing. So the 2 concepts today I've talked about is better body turn, that includes the hips as well, and getting more control of this club during the backswing, so not getting it so flat. Really nice simple points you can work on this winter to prepare for next season. 2 points in fact that are going to help you make a better backswing. So really starting to formulate a whole plan here. We've got grip, stance, takeaway and backswing now, and these are all things that you can blend on, work together at one time to really start working on some good points ready for next season.